Welcome back to the Soul Food Podcast. I'm Michael Vakelic.
And I'm Shannon Meyer. Together we share insights and conversations to help you cultivate joy, peace, and prosperity while unlocking your limitless potential.
Yes, get ready for a transformative journey filled with laughter, strategies, and lively discussions that will inspire you to thrive in every area of your life. I like wearing different glasses.
I see that.
You should see the
Hello.
ones I wear that are all, they look like big clown glasses. Anyway,
Well, hello, Michael.
hello, Jeanette. Here we are. We're going to have another fun day of talking about, how to change your life,
Mm-hmm.
how to
Mm-hmm.
become that awesome, dynamic person that you are.
That you already are.
That's right. We all
Yes,
are.
we are
And what holds us back from being
ourselves.
the awesome, dynamic person?
Ourselves, nothing else. Our mind.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right here. That's it.
Yes, our
All
mind.
the things you've been taught since you were a child, the things you listen to from your friends, the experiences you've had, mom, dad, when you go to work every day, everybody's opinion.
Mm-hmm. You listen to that and to your mind, yes. The
I know.
mind is the one that makes something out of what you listen, and it's not necessarily what they said. It's you that you are listening like that.
Exactly. Exactly. The mind loves to make things up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you've had um, say you've had a rough experience wherever, don't have
Yes.
to even pinpoint it. You have one rough experience, you think someone's, being hard on you or, criticizing you or whatever, the mind will make up, all kinds of ideas about how you were deficient in some way or how you're not, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that awesome person that you are. But that's just the mind,
Yeah.
just what the mind does,
Criticizing you, no, and judgment, saying, "How could
right?
you? Why did you say it like that? You should have said it like this. Why didn't you say it?" So everything, no, the mind has us, and if we listen to it, really, it's driving us crazy, no, and it really is pushing us down.
So there's all kinds of beautiful processes to learn to observe your mind,
Mm-hmm.
right? And stop listening.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you will. Well, one thing, you will always hear it.
Yes,
Another thing is listen to it and consider what it is saying.
yes. Well, consideration is yeah, it's actually good. I mean, if your mind, I mean, if you've got a very active mind, you're considering this, considering that, yeah, I'll consider that.
Mm-hmm.
It'll keep you busy all day. So, um, so we wanted to talk about healthy boundaries
Mm-hmm.
today, right?
Mm-hmm. And you had a story to tell about that,
Well,
something.
I can relay something about a client that I
Mm-hmm.
was speaking with, and they called. They were very upset, right?
Mm-hmm.
And their partner, they were saying how much they really love them, but they have nothing. They have a lot of difficulty between them.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they always feel like they're being blamed, So partly it is one partner's fault for taking that personal,
Mm-hmm.
taking whatever they're saying, as you were just saying, taking whatever the other partner is saying, taking it personal. Another is the way the other partner is expressing themselves. Is it realistic? Are they taking responsibility for their way of thinking, way of perceiving the relationship or the
Mm-hmm.
situation, right? So there's always a healthy boundary that you have to create here. It has to do with each of you taking responsibility for yourself and your own belief, your own way of seeing and processing, perceiving and processing the situation. So I believe that's a very healthy boundary. And they actually split up.
Mm-hmm.
And now one partner is really upset.
Mm-hmm.
The only partner I talk to,
Yeah,
okay, I didn't
yeah,
talk to the other one.
yeah, yeah.
They're really upset and oh, I'm so in love and and uh, the mind again will
Mm-hmm.
make up things. Okay, now once you split, the mind tends to see all the good stuff.
Yes, always,
Okay,
yes.
oh, my love is gone, and oh, you get
Mm-hmm.
all wrapped up in all of that. But what was it really?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What was really happening? Um, you know, are both of you completely responsible for your own behavior, your own thoughts, your own um, do you completely love yourself? There's so many things you can talk about in a relationship. So we had a nice talk about how the mind, I mean, oops, didn't want to say this partner I was speaking with,
Mm-hmm.
um, they were going on and blaming themselves a lot. When in actuality, there's no one to blame.
No, there's no
It's
one to
all a
blame.
learning journey. It's
Yes.
all a learning journey, and we're learning about ourselves.
Yes.
So, to establish a healthy boundary there, you have to realize what is the real truth. You have to ask yourself some very tough questions.
Mm-hmm.
What's the real truth about the situation? What was really happening? Uh, Stop judging yourself
Mm-hmm.
or the other and just see it for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Stop your mind from rambling and making things up or just seeing the parts that feel good to you and not seeing the rest. Okay? But you have to accept it all
Mm-hmm.
because it's all part of the experience. And then, of course, what are you learning from this experience? Because that's why it's there. And the relationships are really good at that, pointing out what you really need to learn. So the healthy boundary in this case for her was to step back and take her power back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm sorry I'm using her again
No,
instead of,
no, it's okay. It's okay.
but take her power back in this situation and not and understand what's really happening here, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's really going on. So many of us have a tendency to blame ourselves. And that works on the relate. It's a dynamic that doesn't work in relationships. So,
No, no. Uh, I've been there. I have a story like that.
mhm,
And I mean, experience in like that. And yes, it was for me to step out and see things for what they were and realize that the best for both of us was to be everyone by themselves and everyone to get to know themselves. So it's when I started journey to know myself. And it's also when I learned really that what I always say, that you cannot judge anyone because you're walking your shoes. Always. You're going to see
right,
it, everything from your point of view.
exactly,
Everything. You
right.
cannot see it in any other way. And
It's a very tough lesson to
yeah,
learn
yeah.
to really reflect on yourself and
Mm-hmm.
because we're taught when we're younger to
Mm-hmm.
blame others, right?
Yes, yes. And in this case, I said, no, it's the relationship we built like that. So it's each of us, no? So everyone has the same amount of um, yeah, input in that relationship, no? But it
Mhm.
was my decision to move out, to move out so that both of us, I knew that was the best for both of us. And I think well, I think no, I know it has been the best for both of us. And also the journey of loving myself and then valuing myself and everything started from there. I didn't know about that. Nothing
It's
about
so
that.
amazing. Yeah, that is
Mm-hmm.
so amazing. That good for you because uh, I believe that's really what it's about.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
You need
for
to
me, yeah.
really understand yourself,
Mm-hmm.
learn to understand and love yourself,
Yes,
appreciate who you are, all of who you are.
yeah.
Sure, you can make, you can learn to make more healthy decisions based upon who you are. Um, and you tend to, as you look at yourself, you tend to you start seeing the things that you can change
Mm-hmm.
about yourself. It's
Mm-hmm.
not about the other person.
No.
The hell when two really authentic, uh, self-loving, soulful people meet,
Mm-hmm.
you can still have, you know, challenges.
Yes, yes.
But it's a beautiful thing to meet together
Yeah. It's a
when you've learned about
co-learning.
yourself,
Mm-hmm.
when you've healed yourself in many ways. So,
Yes. For me, I learned no, you cannot love anyone else if you don't love yourself.
so what would you think is a boundary there? What would you share for the people? What do
About
you think is a healthy boundary for you?
a healthy boundary that worked for me at that time, after I split and everything, was when I got to know new people. It was really knowing I wasn't giving too much of myself for
Mm,
others. If
yeah,
I was in relationship, in any relationship, friends or whatever, it was because it was for me, for my health and for my well-being, and not because of, not to please others, just pleasing myself in the love of who I am, no, of who I was learning to be. But yes, because I was really um, learning to love myself. I was loving myself, let's say. I awoke to love myself. And that was my boundary, was loving myself and then others.
love
Yeah.
yourself first.
Yes.
Yes.
And
Okay.
it's not egocentric. It's really taking
No.
care of yourself,
Hmm.
knowing, learning more about you and not giving up things you love or things you enjoy or so just for others. No, it's really taking time for you and then be with other people. That
Very
was
true.
one.
Very true. Very true. Yes. I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. Yep.
And
It's great.
another
I mean,
one, huh?
I
Sorry.
was just going to add very
Mm-hmm.
quickly that,
Yes,
of
yes,
course,
yes.
I've had a similar experience
Mm-hmm.
where you give too much of yourself, and this came from my upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of times I was giving so much to try and keep the peace,
Yes,
okay, to
yes.
make everybody happy,
Mm-hmm.
and you get so used to that. All right, but
Yes.
yes, I had a lot of the same. I
Yeah.
remember, but it so you're actually taught that or your mind believes, let's just put it that way, your mind will believe it's not a good thing to be selfish,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
to think of yourself
Yes.
first,
Mm-hmm.
but it's actually not selfish.
No,
I don't believe it's selfish. I
no.
believe, you have to come from a very healthy place to have healthy relationships.
Yes. Yes. If
So
not,
those are
there's
great
always
boundaries.
something. Yes.
Yeah.
And another one, and something you mentioned at the beginning, is also the boundary of not accepting any thought that would make me feel guilty.
Mm.
So I was really observing my mind and the thoughts. And every time I was thinking of the good times I had before and why I left it behind, I told myself, I'm always going to see the best of the situation, but I'm forgetting what wasn't good for me, no? So it's thought outside. And then also, oh, why did you change? Why did you leave? And all those things. I said it was as soon as I thought it thought, I was pushing it out. Not even think about what it was asking, no? Not even engage with the thought. I was
Right.
I learned to avoid those type of thoughts because they were not bringing me anything. They were just pushing me down. So I just pushed them out.
So, so yeah, those thoughts would actually loop you back into a
Mm-hmm.
repetitive that you're
Yes.
being hard on yourself. Your
Yeah.
mind is looking for something to, I hate to use the word blame, but
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
like be on your own case, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So,
yeah,
so that's just something I practice a lot, and I'm now doing it naturally. But it was seeing myself thinking something, realizing what it was, and taking it out and say no. Changed it with something, a thought, a beautiful thought, and every time I no, I'm not accepting it. No, no, no. So I was pushing it out.
that's amazing because by doing that, starting that process, that probably led you into many ways down the road where
Mm-hmm.
you started to observe the mind instead
Mm-hmm.
of taking those thoughts in,
Yes.
having that belief around the thought and then the
Mm-hmm.
emotions that come with that thought, and
Yes.
then you get stuck in it, right?
Yes.
So that was a beautiful thing, beautiful
Yes,
thing.
yes, yes.
Yeah,
And nowadays, many years later, when I feel something,
yeah.
I observe from where it comes, no?
Mhm.
What's the thought behind it? And if it's something that my mind is creating, it makes me feel somehow, I say, you're just creating, it's not like that. See it in the other way. So I myself, I get out of that mindset and move myself out into seeing it in a different way and discovering many things. So it's really this constant observation. But it took me years, uh, months and years to practice and now have it naturally. But yes, it was, I remember saying, no, that's not me. No,
That's
I'm not
good.
going to look back. I'm not going to look back. I'm going to look. I'm here now, so I'm not going to look back. It's done, and then when I was saying it's done, I was always remembering the moment I decided to love myself, and the moment I heard the voice of the heart telling me what to do. So the inner wisdom, and that it was the best for both of us.
Yes, and sometimes that's hard though. That's
Mm-hmm.
difficult. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you are attached in some way
Yes, a
to the
lot.
person. But sometimes it's good for people to be apart if they're truly working on themselves. And, the beautiful ways that we work on ourselves and we get to know ourselves and we grow and become um, more appreciative and loving of who we are, we
Mm-hmm.
you can always come back together with this person if they're doing the same. See if there's still a real love there, right?
Yes.
So, but from a guru standpoint, not
Mm-hmm.
from a therapy, but yeah, so you were establishing some very healthy boundaries for your own way of perceiving and thinking, right? Which
Yes.
is really good, which led you into, you know, a whole new way of working with life, challenges, events,
Mm-hmm.
situations,
Everything.
people, right? Right?
Yes,
Because
everything.
your mind is everything in this 3D world. But I just wanted to add one thing that Well, of course, one of the ways that I was taught from one of the gurus that I learned, and they were um, these were Upanishads. I don't know if you ever heard of them, but
Hmm.
they pass down wisdom. They're a small group of, very
Ah, yes, I
enlightened
know.
beings,
Hmm.
right? Vedanta and Upanishads. Anyway, um, they say, and this is beautiful what you did, but they say, just to add a different little perspective, if it
Hmm.
works for someone, don't have an interest in the thought. The thought comes, and you get to the point where you don't really have an interest in the thought. In
Hmm.
other words, the thought comes and goes, you see it, and yep, okay, there it is. And
Yes, true.
not having an interest in the thought, that's a different way to perceive, then maybe
Hmm.
that'll work for someone else too.
No, I
It's
think it's.
amazing when you can be that, um what's the word I'm looking for? When you can really um let your mind ramble on and not have an interest
Hmm.
in its rambling.
Yes, yes, it's true. But I think it's before because you are still at the beginning, you're listening so much to it, and then because you come from a life where the mind was everything until you realize no, no, the mind is not everything. It's just thoughts that I can control me as a being. No,
Right.
so at the beginning, I think it's this listening to the mind and pushing it out. Afterwards, I'm saying no. For me, it's natural to not to observe internally and push out, but I think it's because I don't have interests in the thoughts, so I'm not focusing on listening to the thoughts.
Hmm.
It's just that sometimes I see myself. No, sometimes you take yourself or something happen, and then it's when you realize, oh, I'm thinking a lot about this, and then it's when you say, okay, I push it out, but normally my thoughts aren't important to me, let's say. They fly because for me, if I'm living, when I'm living, and I am living in the present moment, it's more the feelings that
Hmm.
have the importance. So it's the heart, no? So it's really enjoying what is around me all the time and speaking from the heart. So there is no thought. Or at
Right.
least I don't perceive them. I perceive them if something happens or I'm in the car, I'm in the car and someone passes by and or they cross over and say, oh, and that's when I listen to the stories and say, hey, no, 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 move out. But yes,
So when you're riding in the car,
I mean, if someone
and
crosses or you get angry because of something and you say, oh, don't be here, just let it go.
it's
Go
interesting
into
that
the
you bring
heart.
that up. It really is. It's very interesting that you bring that up because I'm back in this area here. I haven't been here in quite some time, so I moved back to an area where I grew up, and people are always racing around in their car. I mean, you you'll be doing 5 miles over the speed limit,
Yeah.
and you're just cruising along. I just want to, okay, look, I'm going over the speed limit. I'm not going to be Mr. Race Car. There's some guy, comes, he's like right up on your bumper,
Yeah.
right behind you, and I find myself getting irritated with that.
Mm-hmm.
I do. So again, it's a very powerful thing to let to be able to let that go because
Mm-hmm.
there's road rage happening around here, and it's like you have to be able to let that go. You have to. Or I mean, at first when I first moved back here, it was there
Yeah.
was
That.
anger coming up. I'm like, what the heck? You know, I mean, or you pull out and there's no traffic, and you pull out onto the road and somebody comes flying around the corner, and they want to do 90, and
Yeah.
and they come flying up on your bumper, and you're already doing over the speed limit. It's like sometimes I've even pulled over
To let them go. Yeah.
to just let them go by. I don't care, go. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that can really get to me. Yes, it's the more sensitive you are, I think, the more these things can get under your skin if you let them, right? I think people should be, you know, accepting of each other. We're all brothers and sisters. So,
Yeah. Yes. But that's when the mind plays
yes.
games, and it's when you realize you're thinking something and just let it go, no? Change the mindset,
Yeah, you
change the
want to call them
perception.
every name in the book, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's why. So it's but if not, the thoughts are not interesting, let's say.
no, they're
No, no, in that moment,
not.
no, but I
I
mean
like
in
the way you said
general.
that. They're not interesting. Yeah, yeah. Having no interest in those thoughts is very powerful. Yes.
Yes.
I mean, some of the guru things that I've learned are really amazing. I mean, like having no likes and no dislikes.
Yeah, because
This
there's no
keeps your
judgment.
mind poof, right down the center, right? I
There's no
mean,
judgment.
right, right. That I mean, and as we evolve, that's very powerful
Mhm.
for bringing in a beautiful life.
Yes.
Having someone teach you these things is just amazing. I mean, it changes everything.
Yes.
And you end up in this flow of beauty that just,
Hmm.
if someone comes along and tries to disrupt your life, you pull over and let them go by.
Hmm. Hmm. Yes. So those are important healthy boundaries. Yes.
Yes, there's a lot of healthy boundaries. And I think, and relationships are so tough because you can really love someone and you can be very attached to them. But if it's not healthy, and I find I've been in this place
Me too.
where I was giving so much, I
Hmm.
realized, wow, I'm like doing this, doing that, doing this other thing. It's like, what are you doing, Mike?
Hmm.
You're depleting yourself
Yes.
and you're still not receiving.
No.
And the best thing to do is walk away.
Walk away and love
At
yourself
least
more.
yep,
Yes.
that is a healthy boundary.
Yes.
I hope that helps people to see that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I hope so. And talking about helping and supporting, we would love to invite any one of you to join us in the leadership in the leadership, no, in the Soul Food
Jeanette has a
podcast.
leadership podcast. You should join.
No, no, here in the Soul Food podcast with Michael and me. And yes, if you have any question, if you have repeating disruptive patterns and behaviors, if you want any support, having a conversation here with us, and like we just did now, I spoke and shared about my relationship, no, and how I left it to love myself and then value myself, and today to be who I am, no, and create what I love. And this is one of the things, the Soul Food podcast. So it's really for you to join us if you want here in an episode, and we share with you, and we support you, and we just open another perspective.
Absolutely. I think, as Jeanette says, we're going to start inviting people in and we're
Mm-hmm.
going to have, a three-way or even a four-way conversation. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I'm totally open to that. And I'd love to talk to people about disruptive patterns that you might have. Or, yes, today we talked about emotional regulation. We touched on that a little bit. and healthy boundaries, and there's the fears that may come up in your life. Any of these subjects, we'd love to talk with you about them. Absolutely. And I know it takes a little bit of vulnerability for someone
Mm-hmm.
to step up, but it's so good to
Yes.
get that out there and
Yes.
to heal it, okay? To feel those emotions and heal it. And I believe this is the really um, sacred space to do that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Mm-hmm.
it's a beautiful sacred space to do that. There's no judgment on
No,
our part whatsoever. So,
no. And
yes,
it's,
we invite you in for that. Absolutely.
yes, and it's such a beautiful integration of the healing. So it's really, if you want to join us, just direct message us or comment on the video and or send us an email. So we'll be very happy to contact you and to have you with us.
Right. So they can email us. You want to share the email? What is
Well,
it?
they can, it's under the YouTube,
Okay.
so
Okay.
they can
That's it.
always contact us there.
Okay. Okay.
It's
And
podcast
direct
Soul Food, but
messaging. I
yeah.
mean, you have direct messaging on LinkedIn, and so do I. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wonderful. Sounds good.
Yes. Mm. So, yes.
Call
Thank you,
me.
Michael. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeanette.
And see
Yep.
you soon, and hopefully with someone else. Let's see.
Yes, that'll be great. That'll be great. It'll be fun.
Thank you.